Or in pictures of a puppet. You never see anything but her head, and only part of her head. Yeah, she's got her hand up her back.
Very good. I want to welcome everybody to the Town Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for October 25th, 2023. If everybody could rise for a pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, very good. The next thing on the agenda is the roll call and the seating of the alternates. Noreen, if you could do a roll call, I'd appreciate it.
Surely. Chairman Payne,
Here.
Commissioner Claffey,
Here.
Commissioner Haggerty, Commissioner Havens,
Here.
Commissioner Linares,
Here.
Commissioner Trister,
Here.
Commissioner Woods,
Here.
Commissioner Droz, Commissioner Fox,
Here.
Commissioner Pascarelli.
Here.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Noreen.
You're welcome.
Okay, and I would like to sit Commissioner Fox for Commissioner Claffey and sit Commissioner Pascarelli for Commissioner Haggerty. We have approval of the agenda. Is the next thing on the agenda? Is everything all set on the agenda? Do you have any changes?
No changes to the agenda. I'll just be updating you on petitions that were received for public hearing scheduling, but they're not agenda items for consideration. So I'll let you know when that comes around.
Very good, thank you. Next thing on the agenda, if there's no objection, is the public participation. If there's anybody here or online that would like to speak, within the Zoom application, raise your hand if you'd like to participate during public participation. Calling in to Zoom meeting by telephone, *9 to raise your hand to be recognized, or use *6 recognized to speak by telephone. Is there anybody online at all?
There's no one online, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, without objection, we're going to, we'll go to, is there any remarks from commissioners? Okay, we have a public hearing, and if I could have the secretary read the procedures for our public hearings.
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. Procedures for public hearings. The order of proceedings at public hearings shall be as follows. A, convening by chairperson. B, reading of the notice by the commission secretary or commissioner designated by the chairperson to act in their stead. C, presentation by applicant. D, town planner report on the application. E, persons wishing to speak in favor of the application limited to 3 minutes per person. Persons wishing to speak in opposition to the application limited to 3 minutes per person. G, rebuttal by the applicant limited to 5 minutes total. During a hearing, it shall be within the discretion of the chairperson whether the time limitations should be varied slightly, provided the commission consents to any such variance by majority vote.
Very good, thank you very much. Our first public hearing is petition 22-23. Commissioner Fox, if you don't mind, would you read that for us, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Petition 22-23, permit, special permit, section 6.2 for a freestanding sign at 712 Cedar Street. Applicant, Loretano Sign Group. Contact Allison Evatson, owner, Gold Coast Properties, CT, LLC.
Thank you. Yeah, can you hear me?
They are online, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Allison.
Hi, good evening. So the application is for a special permit for a ground sign for Wood Spring Suites. So there's the site plan showing the location of the sign, which faces Cedar Street. And then there's also a design plan showing what the sign will look like there.
You guys have the color ones in your packet.
Would you like to add anything else? So before I go to a staff report?
No, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I'll turn it over to staff.
So as shown, the sign is completely on private property. It's also outside of the easement that runs along Cedar Street. That's part of the town easement. The sign meets the signage regulations, and in regards to also their wall signage has all been incorporated to meet the requirements. So we see no issue with the proposal.
We'll go to the, since this is a public hearing. Is there any questions from commissioners for the applicant or for staff?
Just one, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
The sign, I'm assuming, is internally illuminated. That's how they're gonna do it, not
I
external.
don't think it's lit.
No, it says it's illuminated on the front page of our packet.
It is internally illuminated, but the background does not light up. It's just the logo lights up. It's cut through, push through letters. So Wood Spring Suites would light up. An extended stay hotel would also be lit.
Okay, yes, what we can see now on the screen. Okay. That was it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, since this is a public hearing, if there's no objection, we'll go to the public. Is there anybody wishing to speak in favor of this application? Either here or online?
No one is online, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody wishing to speak in favor? If there's no objection, is there anybody wishing to speak in opposition to this? Online or in person? Anybody wishing to speak in opposition? Okay, before we close this and move on, I had one question for staff. Would it be appropriate to have the address on the sign or not? Just a question.
Absolutely, we can make it a condition to add the address to the sign.
You know, the number. I just wondered whether or not we're doing that or not, or it's up to the staff.
Yeah, there's no specific requirement for it. However, a lot of applicants have added it in the past. It does aid in EMS and general location for help and that. So if the applicant is not opposed to having the sign revised, I think that would be, a good thing to do.
Yeah, address numbers can absolutely be added.
Okay, you don't mind that? Okay. Well, it might be appropriate for emergency purposes.
No, with all the buildings there, it'll certainly be helpful.
Understood.
Is there any other questions? I'll entertain a motion from a commissioner to close petition 22-23 and move to old business for action.
So moved.
Moved and seconded by Commissioner Fox. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries to move petition 22-23 to old business. The next public hearing is petition 24-23. If Commissioner Lenars, would you read that for us, please?
Petition 24-23, special permit, section 6.6 for alcoholic beverage service with live entertainment for an existing cafe lounge at 2143 Berlin Turnpike, also known as 2137 Berlin Turnpike. Applicant and contact Cynthia Callahan, owner Bolorama Realty LLC.
Welcome to come up.
Okay, sorry.
That's all right.
I was reading off the paper, is that okay?
Yes, absolutely fine.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Amber Dodge from Callahan's Bolorama. My family has owned and operated Bolorama in town for the last 60 years. We're coming in front of you tonight because our liquor license that has always been classified as a bowling alley, which permitted live music in the past. In 2023, the state cut down the amount of classifications for liquor licenses. So they gave us a cafe permit liquor license, which does not allow live music. So we are looking for special permission from the zoning board to have the application signed, I think, right? Yep. We're looking to do karaoke every Friday night, 9 to midnight, which is what we've done for many years. And small local bands, 1 to 2 times a month on Saturdays from 8 to 11 p.m.
Very good. Why don't we go to a staff report on this, and then we'll go to questions for commissioners.
So as noted, this is an existing lounge where they do have a permit to sell alcohol. When we researched the property, because this has been there since the mid-70s, there was no permits, there was no special permits that we could find. Nothing that indicated one way or another regarding live entertainment. The commission has in the past had that live entertainment as part of their approvals. So of course, they're in front of us tonight. The hours we reviewed seem reasonable, typically along the line of other alcohol service kind of in the area. You can see the applicant's floor plan that they included. But what I did actually from here, what you can see is I took some photos of the space for those. Many of you may be familiar with the inside of the space. So this is looking from, this would be, if you're looking at it from the left side or the south side of the looking north. So this is the space we're talking about, the Perfect Score Lounge. You can see the tables, the bathrooms are to your rear in this photo, and all the entrances are to the right, out to the front of the building. And then that door you can see to the left is the entrance into the bowling alley. So go to the next photo. So again, looking from the opposite direction, you can see that the space recently remodeled. It looks great inside of there. Bathrooms in the rear. Again, those entrances to your left. Kind of keep that in mind that they stopped right at the bar area. So going to the next photo. So this is standing, that was that same table that was in front of you, right next to the door to outside. At the end there is the area that they're looking to utilize for live entertainment. It doesn't interfere with flow through the space. Staff did discuss with the fire marshal. They actually have no comments to offer when it comes to that. They'll just work with the applicant during their normal renewals. So they were good with the space. And again, the plan is, you can see the setup right now would be most likely the karaoke setup. There's actually a pull down screen on the back of that. And that one table, lone table against the wall is where the person operating the karaoke would typically sit. And then that would be removed and the area kind of reconfigured for a band there. But again, staff sees no issues with it. It's a long-standing Newington business, and we have not received any complaints about the establishment.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Any questions from commissioners? Okay, if there's no objection, then we will go to, since this is a public hearing, we'll go to the public. Is there anybody from the public wishing to speak in favor? Anybody online? Is there nobody online?
No, online, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Anybody wishing to speak in favor of this application, please come forward. Anybody wishing to speak in opposition? Anybody wishing to speak in opposition? Hearing none, without any objections, I'll entertain a motion. Yes, certainly.
If we approve this, then do you need to go back to the state to change your license?
Yeah,
Right.
so there's a form that they would have,
You need his approval first.
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from commissioners?
Before the
Yes,
commission.
Commissioner Fox.
I don't think I have to say this, but I don't have any questions, just that, a town without Callahan Bolorama is just our town anyway.
Right.
I mean, Paul said 70s, no, tried
Earlier.
50s.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm definitely going to approve it.
Mhm. Very good. Any other comments or questions? I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing of petition 24-23 and move it to old business.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Fox, and do I have a second? by Commissioner Havens. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And we'll got no business for action for tonight. Next thing on the agenda is our approval of minutes. We have minutes for September 27th.
Nice.
Does anybody have any corrections for those minutes? Is there any corrections? I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, the next thing we have is under new business. We have a pre-application for 2661 Berlin Turnpike. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Phil Silverman. I'm here for Chillax LLC. And this is a pre-development meeting prior to seeking special permit and site plan approval to operate a hybrid marijuana establishment for retail sale of adult use marijuana and for the sale of medical marijuana at 2661 Berlin Turnpike. So I think I'll just try to give you a quick overview. I know the commission has some experience with these types of facilities, so I don't want to overburden you with things that you're already aware of, but I just want to give you sort of the basics. This is in the business Berlin Turnpike zoning district, which is appropriate for this type of business. It's about 4,200 square feet of space in what was formerly a Pure One Imports business. And it seems to be appropriate in this area in terms of the area having retail and food service and office buildings and such. It should fit right in. And we're proposing really pretty minor modifications to the building and the site. If it's possible, can we get the site plan? There we go. That's great, thank you. So I think you can see there's access and egress through two curb cuts here. We've done a traffic study that's been provided to you. There haven't been any accidents in this area, so we're not planning on making any changes in terms of access or egress from the site or anything about the circulation or the pavement markings, because we think they all work pretty well. And in terms of both, the fact that there haven't been accidents, it's what we see in these types of operations. In terms of signage on the site, there's a Pier 1 sign on a pylon. We'll replace that with the name of this company. Haven't determined the DBA that they're going to operate under just yet, but that it will be that pylon sign will be replaced. There'll be some signage on the building, I think channel lettering as well with the same name of the company. The windows will have sort of a security film on them so that we restrict the visibility within the building. You don't want people sort of loitering and trying to look inside and such. The landscaping that's there, we won't change it. We will revitalize it. It needs a little help, and then we'll maintain it as necessary. Parking, so there's 260 sites on the complex. I think it's about 75 that are associated with this building, but we're entitled to use, any of the 260. There's only 48 required, so this is about as good a parking as you find for these types of uses as you'll find anywhere. Loading occurs in the rear of the building. There's a door. We secure that. You're probably aware loading is pretty simple with these. The product comes in totes. It's very well choreographed. When they're going to arrive. There's radio contact with the people delivering. It takes all of about 2 minutes to get it out, get it into the door. So that'll occur through a door in the rear. In terms of trash, there is a enclosed dumpster in the rear. You might be able to make it out barely in the rear of the property. It's already existing. That will be secured. It'll be locked. We don't put any marijuana waste in that. Any marijuana waste goes into, it basically is separated at the facility, kept in a secure area in the facility, and it's returned to either the cultivation or manufacturing place where it came from, to be taken care of there. I will just remind everybody, there is no on-site consumption at this site. Next, we'll go to the floor plan.
Computers are acting a little slow.
It's okay. So again, you're probably pretty familiar with these because they just about anywhere in the country where these types of facilities operate, it's all the same kind of setup. You have a secure vestibule. So you have to come in, you have to show your ID before you can get buzzed in to the actual sales area. That's similar to every place. There's room for up to 11 point of sale stations here. 2 would be dedicated to medical sales. And the entire facility is a limited access facility. So obviously, customers, if you're coming for a retail sale, you have to be 21 years of age. Medical, you have to have the medical card. But even within the facility, there's restricted access. So somebody who is charged with, being part of the reception area has no need to be in the secure vault, for example. They wouldn't be able to get into that vault. It's all done by key card, so that you can sort of keep people where they need to be and they get no further access than that. In terms of traffic, there would be somewhat of an increase from the current use. It's approximately 28 coming and going, and in the weekday peak hour in the afternoon. And on a Saturday, you get about 50 coming and then 50 going at the peak hour on a Saturday, more than what was presently there. Again, ample parking. These trips tend to take between about 8 to 10 minutes. So people are in and out very quickly. We don't expect any major traffic tie-up associated with people, trying to get into the lot and get out of the lot. In terms of security, this is all sort of state mandated. So you've seen this before. There's cameras on the interior and exterior. You have a 360-degree view around the facility. You can see everybody that's coming, everybody that's going. And then there's a camera in every room where any marijuana is handled or stored. There are alarms on all of the windows, doors, and there are panic alarms and duress alarms throughout the facility as well. During business hours, there is on-site security personnel, and these facilities are monitored 24/7 by off-site security. And then finally, I mentioned odor. Usually these retail facilities are not the subject of odor complaints from neighbors. There's just not, that's more of the cultivation facility where that might happen. All of the product is packaged off-site in sealed packaging. And then there's pressurized HVAC systems and filtration. So, I don't expect that there will be any odors that cause a nuisance to any abutters. So those are the basics. Happy to take any questions, comments, any ideas you have. We're certainly want to talk further about it and hear your thoughts.
Commissioners have any questions? Staff?
Yep, I think, from staff has done a preliminary review because it's not a full application. The numbers seem to work as far as distances, zones and all that. The one thing that we would do during an application is go out, look at the site, work with any applicant, see, what could be updated, improved. It has been, I think, some time since the space has been empty. So, it could use some potential upkeep. That's, in working with that, but I think that's kind of where we would focus when an application came in.
Yes, Commissioner Fox.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to thank you all for bringing this, the pre-app in front of us, actually in front of us today. It is, it's a kind of controversial issue. We've heard certain, we've heard comments and the testimony here. And I think now that it's out, and we should hopefully have a good a certain number of people at least that they can voice their opinions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Just looking at an aerial of the area, what's the distance from the facility to the Churchill condominiums? Does that fall, is that outside what we had determined? I know we determined there was a distance.
100 feet between residential and a facility.
Okay.
I believe that's what it is.
Yeah, that should be more than enough. All right, that was my only question. Thank you. Commissioner Woods.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Does this require state permitting also? And do you have that permit already, or will you get that permit
We are
after?
in the process with that. I can find out for you for the next meeting exactly where we are.
It does require it.
Yes, no question.
Again, we had, concerns when we approved the last one on how the parking was going to be atrocious, and anybody pays attention to Facebook, there's like 2 cars in the parking lot, it's, so.
Very low
Yeah,
impact.
Yeah, the big rush, I guess, is over, because there's a number of these places now where people can go.
There'll be more. My firm is a national firm that does this all over the country, and you do see an initial surge, and then enough of these places pop up, it sort of becomes like a local liquor store or anything like that, and they run pretty smoothly, so.
You provide a service that obviously some people need, and it's good that you are able to provide that service for those people. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Any other questions from either staff or commissioners? I want to thank you very much. I think it was very helpful, and I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Good luck.
Okay, the next thing we have on the agenda is old business. We have petition 22-23. I'll ask Commissioner Woods if he'd like to read a motion.
Sure. Petition 22-23, special permit section 6.2 for freestanding sign at 712 Cedar Street. Applicant Lorento Sign Group, contact Allison Boston, I believe it is, owner Gold Coast Properties, Connecticut. Move to approve petition 12-23 for a freestanding sign at 712 Cedar Street. Reason for approval: the proposed application is compliant with the town of Newington zoning regulations.
Very good. We have a motion on the table. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Havens.
Did you want to add a condition for the address on the sign?
If that's okay with the maker and the seconder.
We add the 712 Cedar Street to the freestanding sign.
Okay, that's acceptable to the maker and the seconder. Is there any discussion, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, our next next old business is petition 24-23, and I'll ask Commissioner Havens if he could handle that, please.
Certainly. Petition 24-23, special permit, section 6.6 for alcoholic beverage service with live entertainment for existing cafe lounge at 2143 Berlin Turnpike, also known as 2137 Berlin Turnpike. Applicant and contact Cynthia Callahan, owner Bolorama Realty LLC. Motion to approve with condition. Move to approve special permit petition 24-23 for the service of alcoholic beverages with live entertainment at 2143, also known as 2137 Berlin Turnpike, with the following condition. The approval is for alcoholic beverage services with live bands and karaoke. Reason for approval: the proposed application is compliant with the town of Newington zoning regulations.
Second. Motion made and seconded by Commissioner Fox. Any discussion? Commissioner Wood, yes.
When the kids approve tonight, which I believe is going to, they go and they have to apply for another liquor license, a different style liquor license. Do they need to come back to us? No.
So all that they'll be doing actually is adding an endorsement to their existing liquor license.
I was hoping that's what you were
They
going to
already
say.
have it, they're ready to go.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You're welcome.
So we're singing Friday night? Well, not me.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations. Good luck.
Good luck. The bar looks beautiful, by the way.
Thank you. Come visit. Thanks, everybody.
You're welcome.
Good job, Amber.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is petitions for public hearing scheduling. I'm not sure if we have anything that you'd like to
Yes.
talk about.
So-
Therefore,
There are two for public hearing scheduling. One, we worked with the applicant for 85 Kits Lane. If you remember, there's a pre-application. The applicant kind of changed in their business, who was working on it, but the one who has taken over has operated other banquet halls in the past. So they'll be coming in for November 8th. We got the public notice, hearing notice out on that. And then the other one that was received was for the conversion of the existing bank drive-through to Dunkin' on East Cedar. So that will be scheduled for November 20th. We just got the plans for it this week. We'll go over them with the applicant and keep working on that. So those are the two that'll be upcoming.
very good. Any questions for the town planner? Hearing none. If there's no objections, we'll move on to the town planner's report.
And of course, the current land use applications, people can click on those, see what is there, what we have going on. And then the item to discuss, so it's Public Act 23-152 for family and group childcare homes. Kind of depicted in the staff report. I kind of went through with a brief summary of that. The next one. So the reason why this also is in front of you tonight, the state of Connecticut sent out letters to all heads of the municipalities that said basically by December 1st, we need to certify whether we do comply or whether we don't comply and what date certain we will comply by with the regulation. So again, the Public Act requires that no zoning regulation shall treat any family child care home or group child care home located in a residence and licensed by the Office of Early Childhood Development, as they miss on that, pursuant to Chapter 368A in a manner different from a single or multifamily dwelling. And then also zoning regulations shall not prohibit the operation in a residential zone of any family child care home or group child care home located in a residence or require any special zoning permit or special zoning exception. So what we kind of went in, I reviewed the town of Newington's. And again, this is kind of across the board on the planner's listserv as I'm going through. This was not unusual to require a special permit. Many towns had it for childcare, but the state act just says basically you can't require a special permit for these uses in a residence and that you can't treat them any different than a single or multifamily dwelling. So the uses that we're talking about here are family childcare home, which is basically not less than 3, not more than 12. And this is in a private residence. And the same for group child care home, which is not less than 7 or more than 12. So these are ones that the state has put legislation saying these shall be permitted in residential zones. You can't require a special permit and that you can't have any more considerations for them other than you would a normal single family or multifamily dwelling. So we can move forward. So to kind of get into what does the state do? So these are the license requirements guidance for family childcare homes. So just to have an understanding, smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, having emergency contacts, protecting electrical outlets, any weapons stored must be locked away from ammunition. They'll do water temperature, rabies vaccination for dogs or cats. It must be clean and sanitary, no dangerous items for children, protection of stairways, and then there's other regulatory requirement for outdoor space. So the state reviews each one of these coming in for a license. So they are the main licensing agency. So there still will be some oversight as far as the permits granted. So it'll be in the state's hands rather than in the town's hands when it comes to these specific ones in homes, in a residence. So the recommended changes, so this is kind of, it's open for discussion. My thoughts of putting it together and looking is actually, so adding uses permitted in any zone, family childcare home or group childcare home, accessory to a residence got my thing in the way. Yeah, accessory to a residence in a zone permitting either single, two-family, or multifamily uses. And again, no announcement sign shall be permitted in excess of 2 square feet. That is no different than any other residential requirement that we have. And then again, all such uses shall be approved by the State of Connecticut Office of Early Childhood prior to the issuance of a zoning permit. We require the issuance of a zoning permit for a home occupation, so it's not anything that's too unusual. We require a zoning permit for a shed. So again, we're not treating it differently than a single family residence. I will be also talking to the town attorney to make sure that they concur that interpretation. There might be some slight changes, but this is kind of the concept of you putting it in uses permitted in any zone, because that's the kind of the way that the Newington regulations are kind of structured. They either have uses permitted in any zone, in residential zones, or in other zones. The issue we have is in Newington, we permit multifamily condos in residences in zones that don't just have residents after them. There are some ones that permit that. And as far as a condo or a multifamily, again, it says we can't treat them differently than a multifamily and have to permit them. So that's kind of the state's edict that they put forward. That's the requirement. So this is kind of that first thought. And then the second is to go into the current zoning regulations, it was group care homes before, and then I propose changing it to group childcare homes not located in a residence. Because you can have a group childcare home that is located in an office building, that is located in any other type of building. So that would still come in for a special permit. You know, you're not in a residential zone. I think that still would definitely be in the commission's purview of looking as far as how appropriate it is. You know, you wouldn't want it in the middle of an industrial area with trucking all around it and there's no outdoor space and it's unsafe. So I think it's still looking at child care centers, which are a lot larger, would have a lot more of an impact, and adult daycare centers. So again, it just changes the front a little bit, but doesn't change the body of the regulation. If the commission would like any changes, I can do them at this time, but that's the proposal. And then going to the next page, this is what would be removing. So this is how the special permit process went for ones in existing residences. Again, in existing 1 or 2 family detached dwelling, it had very specific requirements: building floor area, not exceed 25%, parking. And there has been a lot of discussion again amongst planners about, okay, parking, this and that. These are smaller type of uses. They're within a residential home. The Office of State Childhood Development will be overlooking it, and we can't require any more than what's required of a residence as it is now.
So basically, those type of uses would not even be required to come in front of us. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So they would still get a zoning permit, and I would only issue that once I got the paperwork, they're licensed through the state.
And chances are, when I've looked at the state paperwork, what they might require when applying is a letter from us saying that, yes, this is permissible in the zone. It's kind of a zoning compliance letter that goes along in their applicant stack. And once they get their permit, we would say, okay, here's our letter. In that letter to them, it'd say, please provide the permit to the town. We would issue the permit, file it, and know at least, since, you know, they're no longer in front of the commission, we would know kind of the concentration in areas and from there.
Let me just see if I can get this straight before we go to other questions. If somebody lived in a condo, they could have the same opportunity, are you saying?
That is correct.
Yes.
Commissioner Woods?
I think that is the intent of this, but still OEC oversees it.
Yes.
Correct. So it's not, they'll be now in charge of everything.
They're gonna do those
Yeah.
inspections of all those lists of items to make sure that they're
It's not an easy
compliant.
process. I sit on one of these boards,
Yeah.
so OEC is tough.
Yeah, they'll be looking at how much area they have, space, what's appropriate for amount of children, not to pack them into a small area. So again, there's already a level of licensing requirement.
Yeah, how they do it in a condo, I have no idea, but
Yeah, you do the condo.
again, they've got the ability to try, right? So God bless them.
Thank you. Any other questions from staff? I mean, from commissioners for staff? I like the way you handled this. I think this will work out good. We'll still have the ones that possibly will have to go into a commercial building or an office building. So we'll be able to look at those. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Nope, as I said, it's kind of a little that it's interesting in that this is just kind of we're kind of moving back in a way to kind of how it was with the person on the block who would watch a certain amount of kids. That's how I grew up too. So, there might be opportunities in condos where there's 3 or 4 children or something of that, and they want to formalize it, and it could work. So again, yeah, we're going to be, the state is going to be the agency in charge.
Okay, very good. If there's no questions, we'll move on to the communications. Is there any other communications?
The one thing, no communications, but I have a couple photos, just to kind of update. I was out at 3333 today. Landscaping is going in. It's kind of a mixed site right now. It still is very heavily construction oriented activity going on.
That's the right word, right?
Yeah.
Raw.
It's a little raw. They have one area where they've, they're working towards getting that center parking done. They're working towards getting as much pavement as they can get done before the plants close for the season, which will be coming probably in the middle of November towards the beginning of December. If we get a warmer later part of this year, it'll be great for everyone who's working on construction right now, but you never know what the weather's going to do. So you can see there are some trees in there. There are some trees that they're actually holding in the middle of that to be planted elsewhere. So they got some that are kind of sitting up and high, but it's just temporarily holding. But they do have it kind of get this area, their landscaping. So we've been working with them on their plans going forward. They're really looking at kind of getting a substantial amount of site work done before the end of the year or at the end of the year. But again, we're just going to keep working with them, see where they get to, and keep supporting them as we can. So you have this picture here, and then I have additional ones, as you can see, looking at another angle, still very active site. You have processed and gravel for part of it, paved for part of it, dirt for the other. And I can just kind of go through the photos. The residential buildings, the key thing is actually there, the utilities are all going in. You can see, I think on the next photo too, that the back building has not been framed yet. It's just the 2 residential buildings is the 3rd, but the fire hydrants are in. I think they're just waiting on some final paperwork to move forward for the energizing of the system. And then a fire watch will no longer be required for those buildings because water will be in. So they're close and moving in that direction. And as you can see, they're putting in ductile iron pipe behind, this would be building B in the front part. And that's where, I'm going to get it wrong, the burger place.
Shake Shack.
Shake Shack is being located in that building, and they're doing their fit out. Again, still a lot of work happening on the site. And I think that might be, in the last photo, as you can see, in front of building D and C, it's still, not in a finished condition, it's still an active work site. All right, I think that's what I have for an update on that. Other than that, there is progress moving along on Payne and Maselli. Siding is going up, but it's not significant enough yet on site work to start updating with some photos.
Okay,
Chairman?
Yes.
Did you notice that the call before you dig is all painted out on Culver Street? I don't know if you guys noticed that or not. So looks like something's going to start there. I don't know what, but.
Probably, I was by there earlier in the week. I didn't notice this, so maybe it just went
by again today. It's all painted out all the way around Culver and Deming.
I assume since they settled that they will be starting some kind of at least clearing activity, whatever they can do this year before the season sets.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll have conversations with them. Hopefully it's not a denuding the site and then leaving it over the winter. So that's always a concern of mine.
And Church Street too is well underway.
Yeah, that is. Yep, Church Street has been cleared, and then they're working with us as they continue to move forward.
Yep.
Yep, they posted their E&S bond, so
All right.
they're
Thank
working.
you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Any other commissioner questions for staff? Okay, well, we're going to go, the next thing on the agenda is public participation. If there's anybody here willing to speak except for Rose. No, I mean, including Rose. I'm sorry, Rose. Rose, welcome.
I appreciate that. Rose Lyons, 46 Elton Drive. First of all, I'd like to ask anyone watching or anyone who watches later on that if you've spoken on Facebook about the medical marijuana facilities here in town, and there's been a lot of chatter about it, that you come to this table and speak out to the commission, because they're not going to hear you unless you're sitting here. I was the only one around when I think Chairman Payne and probably Commissioner Fox were the ones that I can remember being here when the regulations were first made up. So if you've got something to say, come and say it. I want to thank the town planner for the update. I would love to be here someday and hear about 690 Cedar Street, other than they're going into executive session. I think that project has been around as long as I've been waiting for Alumni Road to be taken care of as well. So, and the other thing that I was wondering about, and I know you don't want to answer here right now, is the project of, I think it's 5 or 6 residential homes on Connecticut Avenue. That's another one that's been brought up. But in any case, thank you very much, Chairman Payne, for being so tolerant of me for all these years. I appreciate it. Take care. Have a good night.
Thank you, Rose. I don't think anything has happened on Connecticut Avenue. I'll turn to the staff to see if,
Make a statement.
Yeah, you know more on that.
Yeah, so my understanding with Connecticut Avenue is the developer that got it approved, Larry Webster, is looking to move the project. There is an interested party that has been in negotiations with him, to my knowledge, so.
very good. Thank you for the update.
Piggyback question on that, Mr. Chairman?
Certainly, go right ahead.
Is the approval of the site plan, is that
It was a subdivision.
yeah?
Yep.
Is it, you know, is it transferable to the next person who buys it, or do they have to come back and present a different plan? Or present the plan a second time?
So it is transferable. The approval is the approval, but actually that's good to bring that up. We should always be looking at timeframes. We'll look at the time frame on this one, and, you know, since they've reached out to us already, if it is getting close, then we'll make sure that they come back before the commission. Because, you know, it's a lot of effort and money spent going through the process. You know, if it's applicable for an extension and they need it, but yeah, we'll look at timeframes.
Thank you.
Very good. Anybody else from the public wishing to come forward and speak? Is there anybody online?
No one online, Mr. Chairman.
Right, if there's no objection, remarks by commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Woods.
on Maple Hill Avenue. I don't know
So,
the number, but I think you know what I'm talking about.
yeah, so we had a pretrial conference a few weeks ago. Just some basics of it. It was via Zoom with the judge and his attorney and Paul and I was asked to provide some documentation to the opposing attorney just last week. I got that all good to go. There is a trial date set for December.
Is there a docket number? Can you get me that docket number? I tried looking, I can't find it.
It is there.
There's a very long list. You go into there.
Yeah.
If you search his name and my name, it'll come up.
Okay.
Because it's, yeah.
All right.
But I can send that out to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. That particular piece of property, it took a long time to get on the court docket. It took us all this time just to get scheduled for December 10th. So that was the sticking point with because of the court system. But yeah, I'm glad it's moving forward too. Any other questions from commissioners? Very good meeting. I appreciate it. And I think that's it. A motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much, everybody, and good night.
Good night.